Welcome to the Nasboys podcast. Now, did you know by the end of Sunday's NASCAR All-Star race at North Wilkesboro, Kyle Larson had a lead of 4.537 seconds over the runner-up Bubba Wallace. It was the largest margin of victory in the 39-year history of the All-Star race. Another interesting fact is that Hendrick has a three-race win streak at North Wilkesboro, technically. So anyways,
And another
guys. Oh, go ahead.
fact, I was just gonna say, and another fun fact, Kyle Larson has won the All-Star race at three different tracks.
Yeah, he mentioned that at on his Victory Lane interview or his front stretch interview. But anyways, welcome to the Nas Boys podcast. I'm your host, Mike, aka Mike Fob Fam 101, with my good friend and co-host Christian, aka Savage NASCAR.
What to do, Nasboys crew? We have a lot of topics. We have some good topics and we have some bad topics today.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff, so make sure to watch to the end. There's some things you probably don't know about too that happened this weekend. You'll hear it right here.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like this is the episode that we have all really been looking forward to recording since the beginning of the season because Wilkesboro is such an iconic track. It's so iconic, but I I think I have some thoughts about the race. I'm sure Christian has some thoughts about the race since he was there. But it's going to be interesting to kind of hear our different experiences since I was watching it on TV and he was literally right there and on TV. But what was your experience like throughout the whole weekend? I know you were there for pretty much the whole weekend.
Well, Friday wasn't as packed, obviously. They did have some like practice sessions. The practice was actually like I was surprised about how many people were there for practice. Oh, it was a great turnout for that. But I felt like everything was well organized, and I had concerns coming in about traffic. There was hardly any traffic issues at all that weekend. I mean, it was a fantastic weekend. I really enjoyed it. They had a lot of great souvenir areas. They had a lot of tents, a lot of food things. A lot of the food places were cheaper than I expected. There was some though that had some outrageous prices. Like there was one I saw that was $15 for chicken tenders and fries. Like no. But there was some that was cheaper, like a $2, $3 hot dog. Like that's reasonable. But I thought probably one of my favorite displays this weekend, I'm sure you saw pictures of, was the Winston Cup Museum display. And I'm friends with Culver Seagraves, who's the director of the Winston Cup Museum. And they had some cars that I didn't know they had. So they brought some cars there to have in front of the hauler, which inside the hauler they had a lot of historical pictures and they had some trophies in there. So I thought that was really cool. Even the Allisons were there signing autographs, and Chevrolet always had some great stuff every day for driver meetups. The fan stage, that's where they hosted concerts. They had a chapel service Sunday, but unfortunately it wasn't that long. I was hoping it would be longer than that, but they had concerts throughout the whole weekend. Great turnouts for those. And also great turnouts for when the legends talked on the stage. Some NASCAR's greatest drivers took the stage on Saturday and got to share some North Wilkesboro stories and some stories of their on-track run-in. So that was pretty fun. But overall, just great vibes, Mike. I mean, I didn't meet hardly anybody there that was negative. Like everyone there was positive. A lot of great people. There's people that I'd run into that like I've seen like media wise or like Instagram wise. And even Facebook people that follow me on Facebook, they're like, "Hey, is that Christian?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm Christian." They're like, "Hey, what's up? I watch your videos." I was just um blown away by that. But it was just a great weekend, Mike, and it really was. And I know that the Sunday's race didn't live up to people's expectations, but that weekend, I mean, it was a historical weekend, and there's more I could get into, but I don't want to hold you up from your thoughts. So go ahead.
Yeah, definitely awesome to hear from you about that experience. And, I bet that was really cool. And I've heard a lot of different opinions from people, having a great time at the track, even though the people watching from home, thought the race was boring. But I think you did it justice to prove to people that you had a great time. And I know that you made some videos of it, so go check those out. They're really good. But I guess getting into the truck race a little bit, I didn't really get a chance to watch too much of it, but from what I did see, it was a lot closer racing than the truck
Mhm.
race or the cup race, but they were single file a little bit, which I didn't like, but I also liked that they were battling a little bit more. Kyle Larson pretty much dominated. I know he led like 150 something laps in that race, which honestly, I forgot Kyle Larson was even in the race. I forgot he was filling in for Bowman. And unfortunate that I picked Bell, who finished 16th. I thought he would do a
Yeah.
lot better in that race since he's more of a short track guy. But now Larson definitely did a great job. He put on a clinic. Not really sure too much what happened. I saw Heim and Hocevar were doing a good job. Heim's been on a roll recently, might I add. I could see him getting a win within the next couple races. So overall, it seemed like a decent race.
You know, the truck race Friday, like the whole weekend, it was hot weather, and
Right.
for the truck race, it was like full on sun. So a lot of people got like burned, including me. I got sunburns, but I thought that the truck race at first, it was pretty much Corey Heim and Hocevar running away with it. There was a good bit of incidents. The thing that I really liked about the truck race was there was a lot of bumping and rubbing.
Right.
You know, what I mean, like it brought back the short track action that we've been missing the last couple of years. I felt like because people were moving each other out of the way. They didn't care. Like Josh Williams got butthurt because he tried to go 3 wide on the backstretch and he got spun out almost at the end of the pit road wall. But under caution, he went up and like hit Tanner Gray. I don't know if you saw that, but
Boo
but
hoo,
one thing
Josh
that's
Williams.
oh man, but yeah,
And
one other crazy thing.
as one of my least favorite drivers, Denny Hamlin, would say,
It's your track racing.
Well, speaking of getting ran through and bumped out of the way, one of those drivers was Haley Deegan. She started up towards the front in the top 10, but she was quickly moved to the outside. And obviously, if you're stuck on the outside lane, you're going to lose some spots. She was getting like her truck was destroyed after the race. Like she spun out, I think, twice. I know she spun out Dean Thompson, I think. But that was just a casual turn one incident deal. But she was getting bumped out of the way, manhandled, moved out of the way, every bit of it. I'm sure she wasn't too happy about it. But some like one driver that I think that kind of impressed me with having to deal with getting bumped out of the way a lot. There was two of them, Daniel Dye and Roger Cruz. Both of them were in accidents, but Daniel Dye, he got moved out of the way a couple times. I think he spun out once, but he ended up working his way back up towards the top 20. I know Cruz ended up getting caught up in the big backstretch wreck. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
Kyle Busch truck. Oh, it looks tight. Into the wall.
Tyler Ankrum into the wall, hit by Raja Caruth. Caution waves again. 10 laps to go.
Ben Rhodes and Zane Smith both heavily involved in that.
50 laps to go. 10th caution of the day.
But it's crazy, Mike. So I picked Zane Smith to win. I felt like he had a great truck. He started in the back, worked his way all the way up to second, which is crazy because I knew he was going to be a contender, but I didn't think that he would get up to second by like almost lap 100. He was up front. And then, of course, he ended up getting screwed over by a penalty, and then he got caught up in the wreck. So, unfortunately, Zane Smith was out of contention. But dude, I feel like he could have had a truck that could have won if he didn't get taken out. But one other driver, there's two other drivers that did really well that, I sort of didn't expect. One of those was Bubba Wallace. He did lead 13 laps and was ahead towards the end of the race, but he got moved out of the groove and fell to fifth. And Matt Benedetto, he was strong all race. He finished third.
I know that Dean was really mad. I saw an interview with him. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
You and Haley Deegan there, and earlier you said that you try to be the cleanest driver and that you feel like maybe you got a race like this.
Yeah, that's what the truck series is. It's all take and no give. Dirtiest drivers I've ever raced with. Yeah, I got things.
He was really upset with how the truck drivers race, which I don't blame him. Dean's been in some serious wrecks, including one that a lot of
Yeah.
people didn't know if he was even going to come back from. And he's right. I mean, the truck drivers do wreck a lot, and they do race kind of reckless. Like they don't care
Yeah,
about
that
other
is
people's
true.
equipment. So I don't blame Dean at all for what he said in that interview. But taking a look at what
I thought
people
the I, I, the internet cut out there, but I think that the crowd for the truck race was probably the most like people I've seen for a truck race in
yeah.
years. Like I haven't seen a crowd that full for a truck race in a long, long time.
Yeah, even for practice. I mean, Carson Hocevar I saw had a video on Instagram. He showed how many people were there, and it looked like an actual race was happening, not
Dude,
practice. So
the
Wilkes
crowd was.
County, go ahead.
I don't know what's going on with the internet. We're just cutting each other off, which sucks. But uh, I was just gonna say that the qualifying for the truck race had an amazing turnout. Before the truck race, the crowd was getting into it for that.
Yeah. Wilkes County definitely seemed like they showed out, and that's what's up. That's what we need more of in NASCAR. We need more of these communities to come back and enjoy racing like the old days. So, taking a look at what you guys had to say, 0% said great, 0% said good, 100% said mess, that's okay. And I mean, I guess you can imagine with 100%, nobody said bad. No thoughts? Driver of the day, Kyle Larson. I got to agree with that.
Dude, Zane Smith would have been the driver today if he didn't get wrecked. I mean, he had worked his
Yeah,
all the way up there. But
for
I'm gonna
sure.
have to go with Larson. I mean,
Yeah. And I guess one point that I got to make is that I did predict a weekend sweep, but I said Christopher Bell, not Kyle Larson. Um, Should I have picked Kyle Larson? Maybe. Only reason I picked Bell was he is more of a short track guy, and the Toyotas were looking good. I was like, okay, with Gibbs, for example, in the Open, which we'll get into, he was really fast, and the Toyotas were really fast. So I was like, okay, the Toyotas look good. But
yeah,
no, Bell, I think Bell finished like 12th, but I guess we can get into the actual All-Star race plus the Open. What did you think of it?
yeah. Well, first off, I want to talk about what happened after the truck race. So there was like a long delay before the heat races after the truck race Saturday, and it's just started pouring out of nowhere. I don't know if you knew this, but it started raining. I mean, it rained for like a good hour. We were thinking, oh, they're about to delay the cup race. Like the parking lots were wet, the cement was wet. We go inside the track, they had the dryers already out there. By the time they was supposed to start, they were already ready. So props to the crews there. Like, I mean, they wanted to get it in because you don't want to have all those different things going on Sunday at the same time that they already had planned. So that was very cool. And the heat races, I got out early in the second heat because it started raining in turn 1 and 2. So I went ahead and left with like 30 laps left in that because I didn't want to I didn't know what traffic was going to be like. So I went ahead and went out there. I was like one of the first people out of the parking lot and where I was the lot that I parked at. But uh Sunday was a whole different beast. I mean, the amount of people there that early, I mean, they didn't open the park until 11, which surprised me, but there was, a lot of people tailgating, a lot of people just walking around, just enjoying life. Um, other than, seeing the concerts and the meetups and the autograph sessions, all this. I was just walking around and eating food most of the day Sunday, and meeting up with people. But dude, I'm not gonna lie, that open race was really fun. I really enjoyed that. The crowd for the open race was basically the same crowd obviously for the All-Star race. It was packed. It's pretty much almost all the way full. The only thing that I'd say that there was concerns about for the fans was I felt like was the seating because some of the sections was so high up and people were put in sections randomly because of when they bought the tickets. So there were some people that I will say was a little overweight that couldn't get up the stairs up to the seating. So there was people struggling. And yeah, I saw someone fall down the bleachers at one point. But I hope they're okay. I don't know if they were, but yeah, it's crazy, man. Like a lot of
So
people I knew were sitting near me. But go ahead.
you're making it sound kind of like it was general admission. Is that it, or what was the deal with that exactly? Like, why would
When
they just move
when
people?
you when you buy the tickets,
Hmm.
when the tickets were on sale, they didn't guarantee a seat. They didn't guarantee like a seating spot. So
Right,
basically, it was pretty much random. They just put you wherever. But it also just depended on what section you bought. So I
right,
bought, a weekend package for term 1 and 2. They put me in the middle of 1 and 2 in section JJ. And then so there were some people that were struggling to get up the bleachers. That's the only
right,
thing that I think that they could have had better was to do the seat things before them. But then again, they didn't know what sections would be what when they're still working on the track. So I understand that. But um, I know I'm just waffling, but the open race, a lot of people booing Ty Gibbs was so funny. Oh man, he was, and it was funny because everyone when Barry got by Gibbs and when McDowell was like racing Gibbs, moving him out of the way and stuff and blocking him, everyone was just up on the out of their seats cheering and screaming. I don't know if you could hear it on the TV, but the crowd was really getting into it when Gibbs was getting past. Um, there was that one incident in the Open. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
That would have resulted in him having to pit before. And there, he clipped the inside wall, it looked like.
Wall, sure did.
Behind you, yellows out, yellows out.
4 cars involved in turn 1.
Gill and Newman, Gregson hit that inside wall, shot straight up the track right in their lap. Chandler Smith.
But I thought that the racing for the Open was better than the All-Star race. I really did. And I feel like if there was more of a field for the All-Star race, it would have been a better race if they had like 40 cars. That's just my personal opinion.
yeah. I got a lot of thoughts into this as I was finally really able to watch a race. First off, I really like the idea that they brought the pit crew competition back. I hope that returns.
Yes.
It was really, really cool to see all the pit crews going head to head. Ty Gibbs's crew won that, guaranteeing them the pole for the Open, which was really cool. Before the Open itself, I actually enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy the first half as much. I felt like it was more spread out, but once they threw the comp yellow around, I think it was lap 41, it really started heating up. And that was some good racing that I felt like was going to happen throughout the weekend. Ty Gibbs bumping McDowell out of the way.
A little bit, that's going to allow McDowell to get down in front of him. Ty is wearing the rear bumper out of that car.
Man, is he? Barry
Oh,
Down, down.
No, into the wall goes McDowell and Haley.
Well, there's 2 more. Eliminating themselves. How about that guy? Seen him before. Ray Evernham.
I felt that was just racing, but he was going a little too aggressive because I felt his main strategy was just bump the guy out of the way, as opposed to Barry, where Barry was really looking for those corners. And Ryan Preece, another short track specialist, he was really looking for trying to make moves, but he was also bumping people out of the way. And he was getting into it a little bit with his teammate, Eric Amarola. They weren't letting each other in, which was just cool to see. It's fine. It's the All-Star race. That's okay.
Trying to get a spot, you're trying to get a spot into the All-Star race, and Amarola was really strong too.
Yeah, he had, I felt like the second best car. I felt like Gibbs was a tiny bit better, but Amarola had a lot of speed. But at the end, when McDowell almost wrecked Ty Gibbs, I thought we were going to see Kenseth Logano part 2.
Whoa, Leader had trouble getting around McDowell.
Now, hey, let's go back a few laps. Remember, he moved Michael McDowell out of the way.
Oh,
McDowell's retaliating on him right now.
Low lead.
And there goes Barry to the lead.
Wow, how about this?
I wondered why they were trying to fix that car on pit road. And that makes complete sense right now.
Eric looking to the outside. Can he do a crossover right here? Oh, did.
I mean,
been crazy. That everyone would have been screaming.
I mean, here's the thing. I on one hand, I disagree with a lap car kind of screwing over a car that's in the lead, but at the same time, it is the All-Star race for one, and for two, McDowell had a right to get upset because he was really strong and Gibbs, moved him out of the way, even though it was fair and Justin Haley had nowhere to go. I felt like he was another really strong car, but it's all just racing in my opinion. I felt like McDowell could have handled it a little bit better, maybe like held his lineup a little bit as opposed to move him up, but Gibbs still made it. So it doesn't matter if he won the race or not. He finished in the top two. And I really like this format, off topic, for the All-Star Open where the top two make it. And then they had Gregson in it as the fan vote. But speaking of him, his little incident, that was odd. I don't know what he was doing. He just completely lost sight of the inside wall and then just bounced off. Another racing deal, but it was really, really weird. But Open overall, I give it a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed that race. But
yeah, he would. Now, I want to ask you about this because I was there. I saw the crowd involvement. There's people, bouncing beach balls and stuff like that. What did you see from the fans? Because I heard that they showed a lot of fans throughout the open race.
I saw, well, for one, I didn't just see fans. I saw this fellow right here that you're looking at on the screen on the top here. That was really cool. So basically, if you guys don't know, I work a lot on Sundays and I'm really tired most of the time. So sometimes when I go home, I just sit back on my couch and just watch whatever the race is. Just like this. I'm going to reenact it actually for you. And they were showing the crowd in turn 1 and 2 where Christian was. And I'm just like basically glancing at the crowd. And all of a sudden I see this guy. I'm like, what? It was like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme. We got to make another short of that.
Whoop. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
Where I'm just like, and I screamed. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
of course, first thing I do, text him, but I couldn't get a picture of it. But you probably saw the post on the Nasboys story. So that was really cool. But from what I saw from the fans on TV, I saw a lot of fans. There were some stereotypical fans, like, putting their thumbs down, and there were fans, with all the shirts and stuff. And it looked like a really cool vibe. And from what I saw on Instagram, I saw a couple of creators there, like you and this other person, Snake Mountain True Love, I think her name is.
Yeah, I saw her.
Yeah, she had a lot of cool pics of the weekend. So shout out to her for those.
There was the cornbread guy.
Yeah, that drunk guy with his shirt off and all. He's wearing this one tie. That was really cool.
Him. There were some other people. Slap Shoes was there. I didn't talk to him, but he.
I know Eric.
Eric, I met him. He was there. I talked to him, but he was there. Dude, it was crazy. Like walking around, and you're like, oh, I've seen him or I've seen her. Like I recognize you. Another one was Harris. He does designs for some race teams and some posters. Good friends with him. It was close to him there too. But man. Grassroots NASCAR Racing is a YouTube channel. His name's Scott. He was there. A couple other people I knew from racing events. But dude, I'm not gonna lie. The first message I got, because I was just chilling because I was recording obviously some for my vlogs this weekend, and I just started getting a bunch of noties out of nowhere. First message I see from Bubba, yo, I just saw you on TV. Bubba was like, yo, I just saw you on TV. And then I get another message from another guy named Scott. He posted me on my Facebook timeline. He's like, oh, look, there's Christian. And then another person's like, send me a picture. And then I got like 4 or 5 other pictures. They're like, look who's here. I was like, oh, that's cool.
And then Instagram went down, so I couldn't discuss it with your chat in the middle of the race, but that's okay.
That's crazy. I didn't even realize I was like on TV. Yeah, I knew there was one part where they had a camera like on our section and we were doing the wave and stuff like that. I thought that was what was going to be shown on TV, but apparently I was just there, chilling and standing up like with my arms crossed at one point and another one with my camera. So that's pretty cool, I guess.
overall, it just seemed like such a vibe. Like,
It was.
but I guess getting into the main event, we had Gregson, Barry, and Gibbs making it in. I
How
was
did
a
Gregson get in, dude? How?
fan vote. I mean, I personally would have preferred AJ, but I mean, it
I
makes
didn't
sense
realize
why
they had that
Gregson
many
got in.
fans. I didn't realize they had that many fans, to be honest with you.
Gregson?
I mean, yeah, the crowd cheered at times for him, but I mean, I thought LaJoy would have got it. Either LaJoy or who else?
Allmendinger.
AJ. Yeah.
Yeah, that's who I was going for. But
When they
I mean,
said who the fan vote was, I was like,
whatever. I mean, I'm not surprised. Gregson was a JRM alumni, and he had that mullet, the vector haircut now. Um,
okay.
yeah, the fans love Gregson. I mean, he is a solid personality in NASCAR. He's not afraid to throw
Yeah.
hands. So I'm not shocked with why he was in, but he just wasn't my pick. That's all. But it's
Yeah,
okay.
I get you. It's just the reason why I was kind of disappointed was because he had a wrecked car and he wasn't
Yeah.
going to do anything in the All Star race. He was in the back the whole race, getting lapped like 10 times. Like he wasn't. He
Yeah.
was just a roadblock.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he could have
So
done a
that's
little
just
bit
my
better.
take.
I feel like he could have done a little bit better if the car didn't get wrecked, but I agree with what you're saying, at least. It was weird that his car was wrecked. I wish they could have backups maybe and then just switch him in the backup, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It was weird. But I guess getting into the main event, um, you know, I was disappointed. Like everybody else, I was a little disappointed with this race. Now, I loved the nostalgia, obviously. We're all talking about North Wilkesboro was so nostalgic and it was cool to have it back on our schedule. But I just I don't know. I saw it in the heats and I was hoping that it wouldn't come up like that for the main event, but
Yeah.
it did. I don't like how the cars were pulling away so fast, and it was just like another race, kind of like the Coliseum or Bristol Dirt, where if you're in the lead and you've picked the right groove, you pull away. I wanted to see more beating and banging like we saw in the truck race and the Open. I didn't want to see, props to Larson, of course. He's a great racer, and I have a ton of respect for him.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to see Larson pull away like that for $1 million. I mean, you knew that once it was like lap 20, Larson was going to win it. There was nobody that was passing him. He had the best overall car. Bubba had a really good car as well, but Bubba didn't have an answer for Larson. Nobody did. And it was just really disappointing that there wasn't that much action. And you could tell watching on TV, the commentators, they were running out of things to talk about. Fortunately, they had DW, they had Clint Boyer, Larry Mack, and Mike Joy, and they were able to come up with some conversation about like old time NASCAR, like facts about NASCAR. But it's just really disappointing to say the least. I mean, I was expecting a great race, but this was not it. The All-Star race the last few years has just not been it. And you can switch tracks all you want. I don't know what it is, but I just wish they could get back to more of like the excitement that we saw in the early 2000s, the 2010s. Nowadays, it's just like, it's the All-Star race. Cool. Here's all the cool stuff that we're going to do for it. But then the overall product of the race is just mid. But
Base.
yeah, man, I was disappointed to say the least, but would I like to see Wilkesboro come back on the schedule? Absolutely. It piqued a lot of fan interest, and like I've said many times before, it piqued a lot of fan interest from older fans to younger fans. Wilkes County was definitely receptive in coming back to the track, and the place was a sellout. And I think that they do want that, and they want it to come back. And I hope that Wilkesboro comes back, but I want to see some changes. I want to see more horsepower to the short track package. They did good with lowering the downforce, but you got to bring the horsepower back. And another thing, I wish that they would repave the track just a little bit more. Not too much, but they need to repave it enough to where the cars can race and actually beat and bang and create excitement. Not just, one car pulls away, but that's all I got to say. Overall, I give the overall race, I give like a 2 just because of the nostalgia.
Well, here's you brought up a lot of good points. My take is, first off, I just want to say the crowd atmosphere was amazing. Like everyone was hyped up, excited. This isn't a shot at anybody, but the only people I heard that either complained or didn't like the race were people that weren't there. That is true, because like I was going, like most of the fans I talked to, they're like, yeah, the race was like all right. I mean, it could have been better. And then I go on social media, people are like, oh, it's trash, it was overhyped, oh, it was disappointing, it was a horrible event. Why did they do it? Why did they bring North Wilkesboro back? Well, we all know why they brought North Wilkesboro back. And fans wanted them NASCAR to go back to its roots. They wanted to see, a classic short track. And, a lot of people don't remember, but in the 90s, there were some North Wilkesboro races where the leaders pulled away and dominated. We saw that in 92. Jeff Bodine, no cautions in this race, lapped the field. 93, Rusty Wallace, Davey Allison just destroyed the field. Like they just pulled away from everybody. So it's not like I honestly wasn't really surprised because of the package, because I feel like the short track package now is not that great. Obviously the Martinsville has been lackluster the last 2 years. So I did have high expectations. I wish they would have had like a 10-lap shootout at the end or something. I also feel like they could have raised the price for the winner to make things even more interesting. Maybe increase it to $5 million. I know NASCAR has that money. Increase it, But overall, I picked Larson to win, and he started towards the back, so that had me a little concerned for my pick. But once he got ahead, he just pretty much dominated. He smoked the field. I knew Suarez like 55 laps early. It would have been close to see Suarez win for Trackhouse, but Larson led 145 of the 200 laps, and the rest of his laps were only led by Suarez. And Larson just at one point, he was ahead by like over half a lap ahead of second. And I was like, this is crazy. This is like the biggest butt whooping I've ever seen in the All-Star race, except for the one other All-Star race that I think we've ever seen that had this big of a whooping was the 91 one where Davey Allison just smoked the field at Charlotte. But other than that, I mean, Larson just dominated the weekend. And I know there's obviously people that be like, oh, Hendrick Motorsports is cheating and all this. That's just allegations. But overall, I mean, if I were to give the race a rating, I would give it a 5 or a 6. I've seen worse racing. Like I've been at races where I wasn't like that much into it, like the 2011 Xfinity race at Charlotte. That one I didn't really enjoy. But at the time I was like, oh, this is intriguing because it's my first Xfinity race. But looking back on it, I was like, it wasn't a good race. I felt like there was a lot of passing that people didn't see on TV. There was a lot of bumps and moves out of the way. People were finding ways to pass each other, and it looked like people were really trying, but there's obviously going to be some people that are like, oh, they didn't try. So I will give Bubba Wallace his props, though. I mean, he finished in the top 5 both races, the truck and the cup race. He had a really fast car, it seemed. He was able to work his way through traffic. So he's been on a decent run lately. I mean, I could see Wallace doing pretty well and maybe even winning in the next couple weeks if he just keeps his attitude all right, and as long as he doesn't treat his crew like crap. And I know that he gets a lot of hate. He got a lot of booze. But some of that is somewhat warranted for some things he's done, like complaining and whining after top 5 every week. But then again, I understand why some Bubba Wallace fans are, upset with the way that Bubba has been treated, which goes into, what did you think about that scanner incident? Apparently some fans hacked the scanner.
Yeah. I mean, here's my take on this, because I'm not a Bubba Wallace fan at all. I think he does get a lot of unnecessary hate, especially for the color of his. especially for the color of his skin.
Yep.
You can't hate on somebody because of the color of their skin. That's not a reasonable reason. Why I personally don't like Bubba Wallace is because he complains, he's too animated, and everybody says that he's got a personality. I'm like, yeah, he does have a personality, but it's annoying when you finish 5th and you're over here still saying, it's bull crap like we saw a couple episodes ago. Bubba Wallace is a good race car driver. Again, I've said this before, but I just don't like how animated he is. Like we saw him like flipping the bird to somebody. I don't know if he was flipping off people who were hating on him. I'm like, Bubba Wallace just has to let stuff like that roll off his back. He's in a better position than a lot of people that are hating on him, including myself. He's a top, he's in decent equipment. He's in the top series in NASCAR, and he's just got to, keep going with that. Keep pushing. Focus on your career. Don't focus on these people that just hate you because, of how they were brought up. Yes, Joey Logano once said, racism isn't created, it was taught. But yeah, people like that hacked his scanner like that's just stupid. I mean, we've seen it before when Kyle Busch and Alex Bowman got hacked, but it's just stupid Southern people that just want to disrespect them like that. I disagree with that, but
same.
we gotta cut this really quick. We'll be right back. And we are back.
Yep, we are. And to close off the topic about Bubba Wallace, I just want to say that, like, I was pretty, I would say a little upset, but also just like disappointed that, again, the scanners got hacked and that people are being racist. Like that one statement, like go back where you came from, that is definitely racist. Like,
yeah,
you can't tell me that wasn't. So, I'm not a fan of Bubba Wallace, and y'all know why. It's mainly just because of his either his complaining, the way he treats his crew, and the way he's just so down on himself every time he finishes well. Do I think he could change? Yes, but I definitely think some fans go way too far, and some people that think or say they're NASCAR fans aren't really NASCAR fans. They're just racist.
Yeah, I mean, well said. I don't know what bone in their body makes them be like that, but they just gotta act like that, and it's really ridiculous to hate somebody for the color of their skin. And I just want to bring up a point. I like Rajah Caruth, but I don't like Bubba Wallace. So there you go. Just to bring up that point, so people don't say I'm racist, because fun fact, that actually happened one time. We're not going to get into it, but that happened one time.
Jeez, people. But I guess now we talk a little bit about post race. That was insane how, considering how big of an event it was, how quickly people got out of the track. Usually, I was thinking it was going to be like 2 hours or so, 3 hours. But from what I heard, they had all the parking lots cleared in 1 hour and 40 minutes, which is pretty incredible, considering there isn't many like roads leaving out of the track. So there's a highway that goes by it, and there's another road. I forgot what the road's called, but that goes a couple miles away from it, either direction. So I was really impressed by that. They had a great shuttle system that took fans to the different parking lots. They had a lot of people with carts, and I waited a little bit after the race to leave because I didn't know how like crazy it was gonna be. I did have to wait a little while, but I was like out by I would say 45 minutes after the race. Maybe.
Yeah.
That was by the time I got out of the parking lot that I was in. So props to North Wilkesboro staff. Everyone there, I mean, all the workers too, like the amount of security they had as well, and the people working, the police, the police had to deal with a bunch of stuff too. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but there's this one guy that was just being outrageous. But yeah, man, there's a lot of crazy people this weekend, and I feel like there was some too many like autograph hunters too. Like I saw a big deal about that there was some going too far. Yeah, there was some great people this past weekend, but there was also some people that weren't. So,
which
what did
is
you see on Twitter about that?
well, first of all, it's unsurprising that, you're going to have great people at events like that, and you're going to have your pieces of crap. And what we saw with some people going after autographs, they're going to be at every event for one. And I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just pointing that out. They're going to be at like every major sporting event. They're going to be at like movie premieres. If they see celebrities or athletes, they're going to be there. Musicians, you name it, they're going to be there just so they can
Yeah.
sell a bunch of autographs on eBay. But what I saw on TV were autograph hounds were going insane. Like they were cussing at drivers if they weren't signing all their die casts. They
That's
came with
crazy.
suitcases full of die casts. And I mean, I know that that's not illegal to bring in die casts, but I don't know, man. It just sucks. And there's a lot of people that I was reading, like there were a few little girls that wanted Deegan's autograph, but Deegan had like hella security because these autograph hounds, excuse me, were really on her and they were trying to chase after her and follow her around. So I give props to the
Crazy.
security, but it sucks that there are real fans out there that want these drivers' autographs because they look up to them and they want the autograph just because they're a kid and they want autographs. Adults want autographs too. And it's stupid that people like this, just because they want to make a quick buck, they ruin it for everybody else. But the sad thing is, it's not like they're scalpers where they can make bots to buy the VIPs. I don't think they just buy them like regular humans, and you can't tell who's a VIP, who is there because they want the VIP experience, or who's there because they want a bunch of autographs. And it's just really ridiculous. And quite honestly, I thought it was a lot harder to get a NASCAR hot pass because in all my experiences having a hot pass, I have known somebody within the garage. So I don't know what the deal is with that, and I wish that they could fix it, but unfortunately, you're just gonna have your people like that there. But it really sucks, and I wish they could do more about it.
Well, moving on to the next topic, like as we know, NASCAR races, there's fans that drink. There's people that go crazy and go wild. There was this one fan in particular that started a fight in the front stretch grandstands. If you hadn't seen that, here it is. So after the race, I saw like some commotion over there during the middle of the All-Star race. I was like, what is going on? After the race, while I was waiting to go on the shuttle bus, there was this guy like telling a couple of us like what happened. Basically, this one guy who was drunk was like, I don't know, he was like trying to start an altercation, right? And he got kicked out. He somehow got back into the track.
For real?
So he went through a different exit, I think, and then he came back in a different way because he had the re-entry thing on his arm, from what I know of. That could be wrong. It could have smeared off, who knows? But he got back in, and he started a fight with a guy who looked like he was like a welder, like he was big, and he was getting weld on, and his shirt was almost coming off. It looked like two giant beer men were going at it basically, and they were just shoving and pushed each other, and yeah, and it was just kind of embarrassing. I'm not gonna lie, but the first officer on the scene was a woman, and she couldn't break them up, so they had to bring more people. But yeah, it's crazy. I heard there was like 2 or 3 incidents. Like there was one I saw in particular. This one guy was trying to cut in line, trying to get out of the track, and the people wouldn't let him like cut in line, and he was mad, saying "bleep you" and all this stuff, and he was just getting mad. And you could tell he's drunk. He closed himself in. Get this. He closed himself in a porta potty and was yelling and screaming like a little kid.
I wish you had video of
That's
that.
crazy.
I would love to hear that.
My phone was like dead. And then what's also crazy? This I haven't told anybody yet, except for maybe one person. But when I was going to my car to leave the track, this elderly guy looked to be peeing on my car.
What?
It looked like he was peeing on my car. Yeah, that's what it looked like. And I didn't want to go around and look. I don't want to look. I was just like, I shot for this. I was like, hey, don't pee on my wheels. And he like back away, like, no, I wasn't. Whatever. The people that were with him were like, they were like, they got kind of mad at him. They're like, what are you freaking idiot doing? Basically, they're like, get back in the car.
Now, was there pee on your wheel? Is my question.
I didn't see any, thankfully, but basically,
Okay.
like, he was using my car as a shield. That's what it looked like. So that was outrageous. I didn't see. I'm not one to start fights, but if he actually was, I probably would like confronted him. But it didn't look like he did, so I let him go. I mean, the thing is, the porta potties are nasty, and I hate them. I can understand why people don't want to use them, but at the same time, like, come on, like, I mean, at some point you're gonna have to use them if there's no toilet. Like they had public toilets at the track. Why couldn't you go to them?
I mean, I probably would have peed on the grass, but not on somebody's car. I would have just found a field with
That's
some
what it
trees.
looked like he was doing, but
no, he's like, it's in front of your car. He's peeing on somebody else's car.
I was just
I
like
don't know.
walking.
I mean, listen.
Like I was just walking to the car, and the first thing I see is a guy peeing with the peeing on my car.
I can't get this image out of my head now. I can just see you going, "Hey, don't pee on my wheel."
It was like this 60-year-old too. It wasn't like some young person. It was this guy in his 60s. It reminds me of last year at the 600 where I saw this guy in his 20s peeing on someone's truck.
Bruh.
And I don't know if I told you this either, but I've told a couple people this. But I was with Tucker at the 600 last year, and we were just chilling in the parking lot, and there's people tailgating and stuff. This guy, no shame, pulls down his pants in front of like maybe 6 people and starts peeing on someone's truck. Yep, that's exactly what happened.
Gross.
You could see everything. I was like, bro, like, come on, like this is ridiculous at this point. Like, I mean, there's a good side of NASCAR fans, but there's also a deep and dark side of NASCAR fans that people don't really know about, but I'm sure they hear about.
I mean, here's the thing. Between the fight and then those two stories that you just told me, that's literally stereotypical NASCAR fans. I'm not gonna lie. It's the stereotypes that people outside of the sport hear about, and that was proven true. As soon as I saw that fight between those two guys, I'm like, this is a freaking stereotype, dude. No way.
What Toby Christie said about the fans like that find the front stretch, he said that the aggressor was removed from the track by the police. According to the Wilkes County Sheriff's Department, he was later arrested for second-degree trespassing charges and disorderly conduct as he attempted to re-enter the racetrack to watch the finish of the race.
And they got him out, right?
I don't know if he was attempting to watch the finish. I was thinking that he was attempting to re-enter the track because he was drunk and he wanted to fight people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that security got him out because at first you made it sound like he got kicked out. Then he came back, fought that dude, and then got kicked out again.
Well, yeah, he did. He was removed
in that
for the
case,
first
the security
time.
didn't do a good job.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was their fault, honestly.
They should have known. Hey, they should have a walkie-talkie. Hey, if you see this guy wearing this shirt, don't let him in. Kick him out. But
people.
Man, I don't know what to say. Just stereotypical NASCAR fans. It's sad.
Well, speaking of sad, did you see what happened at Hickory? Like,
yeah, I saw that.
That is outrageous. Like, so basically, the wife of I don't remember his first name. Is it Jake Fromm?
I think it was Fromm. I know that, or Amber Fromm. It was one of the two.
No, their last name's Crum. Yeah, Jake Crumb's wife basically was running in the late models at Hickory. Landon Huffman, who's one of the most popular drivers that races at Hickory's father, won a couple track championships, I think, at Hickory. I know Landon won the track championship last year. Well, basically, Landon like was moved her out of the way, I think, or something. and she basically like ran into him like almost full speed under caution, destroyed both of their cars. Just very childish, like she gets disqualified parts, whatever, maybe get a suspension. And then I see on Twitter Landon's father getting beat up by Jay Crump. So that's what I heard. Hopefully they get banned for life.
Yeah.
From the track and from NASCAR, because that's just ridiculous. He's beating up an old man, and not only that, he was stomping on him with like I think a couple other people. Broke his
He
nose.
stomped on him.
Him
Yeah, he gave him like a black eye, broken nose.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
like,
ridiculous.
We don't know what maybe led to that happening, like conversation wise, but still, like that's no excuse for assaulting somebody.
Agreed.
Especially an older person. Like it's just the crimes are bombs and they should go to jail.
Yeah, facts. I mean, I saw that. I saw what the chick did to Landon. That was disgraceful. I mean, what he did was racing. It wasn't a big deal. If you're on that kind of a track, you should know better that that's racing. It's not like he junked your car. You junked it yourself. So I don't know. It's just I'm ashamed of this generation sometimes. I swear. People are so stupid. But this isn't Mike's thoughts on the generation. This is a NASCAR podcast, racing podcast, whatever you want to call it. It's ridiculous.
I thought you said podcast. I thought that's what you said.
Podcast? Well, I don't know. You know what? I'm kind of tired, so when I get tired, I mess up my words.
Slur. No, I'm seeing. Well, we got me.
I was kind of slurring, to be fair. I'll probably watch that back and slur, but yeah.
Oh no, here we go. Well, we got. All right. Well, we got meme of the week. There's a couple. There wasn't a whole lot of memes, but there was mainly just memes roasting that people's expectations to also race. But first up, NASCAR chasm. The first one is if they could park like this, was showing the haulers like parking at front of the infield and everyone in there, then there's no reason you should park it like this, and it just shows a car out of their parking spot. There's a bunch of other. I think NASCAR Hub was. Let me turn the volume down on that. Me, basically, it says me remembering I could watch the All-Star race from my window, and obviously, it's a trash can. More than likely, I'm just watching it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a copycat of Lap Laps, but
yeah,
I could get people's opinions on that. Next up, Jimmy Logano. Jimmy Logano's Darrell Waltrip not saying boogity boogity boogity. I didn't know about that obviously because I was at the track, but I'm sure it definitely surprised a lot of people. That was like, come on, DW, why are you not doing it?
Yeah, I mean, you bring DW out of retirement and he doesn't say his trademark line. That's a ripoff.
Oh man, then Bush Lickers. I like Bush Lickers memes. I'm glad he's back. He got like banned off of the Instagram for like 2 years, or he got his account taken down. But he's back and back with yeah, like NASCAR memes. IG had the highlights of the race. Thank you for watching.
Yep.
Kyle Larson every week since Atlanta win or wreck. I mean that is true. Like he gets either caught up in other people's mess or just has a wreck, and when he's not wrecking, he's winning races. So props to him. So, man, I'm telling you, the NASCAR realizing North Wilksboro can't fix their short track package. Oh man, NASCAR needs to get that straight. We kind of talked about that a little earlier. And then probably one of my favorite ones was the ninth slide on that post, which was me. I would not be awkward today. Also, me 5 seconds later. I thought it was pretty cool that Jeff Gordon was on the I think Jeff Gordon's the pace car driver. I know Ray Evernham was the waving the green flag, and then Petty and Darrell Waltrip did the driver structure engines.
Yeah, that was really cool. But
meme of the week.
I think there were a lot of good ones. I think I got to go with that Subway Surfer one, or I gotta go with the NASCAR Chasm one of those two.
Hmm. I'm gonna go with Jimmy Logano's for mine.
All right. So I guess we can make our picks for this weekend's Memorial Day weekend races over at Charlotte, and also bonus pick Indy 500 picks. Um, so I guess what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the truck race or do you want to start with the Indy 500?
Let's just go day by day. So
So truck race,
let's do
yeah.
truck.
So for the truck race, there are no cup drivers in this one because it's the triple truck challenge. So I'm going to say Carson Hocevar wins it. He's been pretty strong at Charlotte. I believe it was the first or second track he finished second at. He did pretty well last year, so I wouldn't be shocked if he wins it. I think
Yeah,
it
I
should be a
mean,
good race.
yeah, Hocevar about won it last year, and it's tough. You know what? I want to say it's kind of a bold pick because he's been so inconsistent lately. But I want to say Ben Rhodes. I know I picked him a couple times this year, but there's like some races where I feel like he's just going to do well. You know what? I'm actually going to change that. No, I'm changing that. I'm going to go Christian Eckes.
Okay, Christian Eckes is on a roll. That's not bad. Um, for the Xfinity race, I know Kyle Busch is racing, and I know Ty Gibbs is racing. And normally I would go with Kyle Busch, but I've been going with him a little too much. And this one might backfire, and I'll probably look really stupid. But I'm gonna go ahead and say Ty Gibbs wins it.
Bro, I really don't want to see Ty Gibbs winning, but I want to be surprised because he does pretty well in Xfinity. Well, there's a couple drivers that like Junior Motorsports is always really strong at Charlotte, so it's kind of hard to not pick one of their guys. But you know what? Since you picked Gibbs, I'm going to go with Bush.
That's a good one. All right, and then for the Cup race,
That's a good one, also, Mike.
Cup race, Coke 600. Memorial Day weekend, last year's was the best race of the season. Nothing could top it. It was just that epic, especially at the end. And I'm hoping to see more of the same, especially from the race we saw this weekend. I'm gonna say Chase Elliott will finally get into the playoffs and he will win the 600.
I think I picked Elliott to win last year, and he like spun out.
Yeah,
But
he was close.
dude, I'm not gonna lie. Like I was at last year's race, and I had the time of my life. It was such a fun day. I wish I could go. I haven't bought tickets. I've thought about going, but the thing is, right? I've work all weekend and work on Monday, and it's just I'd be so tired. Like I wouldn't be getting any sleep for like probably 40 hours. So I probably will have to like skip it. Even though I'd love to go this year. Dude, I think this year's race will be pretty good. I don't think it'll be better than last year's. I'm sure we'll definitely see a good bit of passing, some wrecks. Hendrick's going to be a contender. I could see Larson, contend for the win again like he did last year. I could see Kyle Busch doing decently. And, a sleeper that I think can run really well. He did well last year, Kevin Harvick. He has the experience. He knows how to be patient and work his way up to the field, through the field, especially in a long race. But the guy that I'm picking to win, he ran well last season's race. I mean, he led laps in it. He's a guy that he only has one win in his Cup career, but he's came close multiple times, and he's been really strong so far this season. Daniel Suarez, I think he's going to win the Coca-Cola 600 this year. I think Bubba Wallace may have a chance because, I mean, he ran really well in last year's race, and he's been on a roll recently too. So I can see Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace in the top 5 at some points during the race, but I think it's going to be Suarez, and then not far behind him, I could see a Joey Logano or a Harvick, maybe even Chastain, Larson also. But I just feel like Chase Elliott. I think Chase Elliott will do decently. I just don't see him winning. I could see him getting in the top 10 though.
I mean,
But
he's had a good history at Charlotte. I know he won one race in 2020. He's close. 2021 was just Larson Clinic. Then last year he had a pretty solid car. He spun out. So I wouldn't be shocked, especially since he's got that hunger of he needs a win to be in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. I wouldn't be shocked either way.
Another guy that I'm thinking about is Brad Keselowski. I mean, he ran somewhat towards the front the last couple 600s. And if he could break the winless drought at Charlotte, that'd be huge. Like, I think that would be a pretty big story. But now I know we don't usually pick of this series and talk about this series, but why not? I mean, it's the Indianapolis 500. We got to talk about this.
It's tradition. We've been doing this.
I'm correct. Yeah, the last couple of years. I don't remember what year of the 500 this is, but there's a lot of.
This is the 107th running.
Yeah, 107th. I mean, it's crazy, like how many cars were so close to each other for this race, and the average speed is the fastest that anyone's ever had for like a qualifying. They average like the whole field combined average like 232 miles per hour, which is absolutely insane. And seeing these cars like tenths of a second off of each other for the pole, I mean, I think we're going to see a good race Sunday. I think it's going to be fun. Hopefully, there's no one that get hurt. I did hear that there was a driver that got hurt during practice today or yesterday, I think. So hopefully he
Stephen Wilson, I think.
Somebody's running up hard. Our first crash. Who is that? It's Catherine Legg in the wall and Stephen Wilson. You can see that coming from a mile away. Catherine Legg didn't realize that the field was checking up, and she goes right into the back of the 24.
This is the first major moment of the month of May. It has been clear practice, clear qualifying until now.
The speed recovery. Yeah, he broke a vertebrae, I think. So, that was unfortunate. But, man, where do we even begin with who to pick? I mean, it's just kind of hard to choose. It's so hard to pick an Indy 500 winner, I feel like, every year.
I think I picked this guy last year, but I'm going to do it again because he's just so dominant in IndyCar. I think he's one of, if not the best IndyCar drivers of all time. I'm going to say Scott Dixon's going to win it.
Dixon set the track record speed-wise in qualifying last year, which was broken this year by Alex Palou. Alex Palou went 234.217 miles per hour. I've been wanting to say like a McLaren maybe could win this because they have multiple cars up towards the front. Alexander Rossi, Pato Award, and Felix Rosenquist. It's hard to go against them in the Aero McLaren Chevy's cars. But dude, it's tough. I mean, I want to go Chevys and Aero McLaren, but it's kind of hard to go against Ganassi because Ganassi is such a big, they've won so many times in the 500, and Palou is the fastest car. I have a feeling he's gonna have a chance towards the end, but I feel like something's gonna happen. I don't know what, but I feel like something's gonna take him out of contention. I was thinking about picking Pato Award, but I was like, no, I just don't think that's gonna happen.
He could.
You know what?
Pato Award's been close.
You know what? I'm going to go with sort of a risky one, but also one that surprised anybody. I'm going to say Felix Rosenquist wins this year's Indianapolis 500.
That's not terrible. I don't mind that pick. And one more dark horse pick I want to make for the Cup race, Jimmy Johnson. I would not be surprised if he's up there contending a little bit. I think he could get a top 10 or a top 15. That's my prediction for Jimmy Johnson.
If Jimmy Johnson gets a top 5, that's a W and a top 10.
That's the top 15.
He's been out of he hasn't been racing full time in a long time. So for him to come back in just a handful of starts and run, it reminded me a lot of David Pearson. David Pearson wouldn't always run full time, but he would run certain races and he would contend.
Yep.
So
All right.
if Johnson were to do that, then that would be pretty cool.
That would be really cool. I'd love to see Jimmy Johnson do well and, get one more 600. But so with that, that will conclude this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Make sure you guys follow our socials, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
See y'all.